Hello everybody, my name is Declan Carolyn. I'm Managing Director of ECR Community and welcome to our latest webinar from the ECR Catman Network on tools and technology, where we conduct quarterly webinars to keep track of what tools and technology are happening right now that are having most impact and effect on category management. We're trying to create a one-stop shop for category managers around the world to keep in touch with the latest and relevant innovations and development in technologies to allow you to understand how technology is progressing and the effectiveness and the global implementation and adoption of such categories around the world. Today we're going to be joined by Durlab from Coolor AI Group, from Ian Wosley from Panasonic Connect Europe, and from Julian Plutz from Hofrogge, and our session will be moderated by George Mirza. But before we go to George and to introduce the session, let me just try and put today's webinar into context. As I said, we've formed the ECR Catman Network a few years ago, and this year we've really kicked off with a number of webinar series to connect with practitioners around the world. We're trying to facilitate high-level peer-to-peer discussion to promote the global impact of category management as a collaborative strategic process. And to do that, we've created an expert group where we have 20 of the brightest minds in category management around the world who meet about 5 times a year, and each of them are part of one of these 5 subgroups. We have an insight and research subgroup who are developing a self-assessment maturity index for category managers. We have the category management department group who are looking at the best structure for category management departments, And then we have 3 other groups who are focused on quarterly webinars. The 8-step process group had a webinar hosted by Brazil back in March, where Fernanda Dalvin from Supermercados Brazil and Eduardo Bezerra from Reckitt's Brazil talked about case studies that illustrated effective implementation of the 8-step approach to category management in Brazil. Our next webinar in this 8-step process series takes place on the 9th of July and will be hosted by Italy, where we have an Italian retailer, Ergon Group. Maria will be presenting there, and she will be presenting redesigning retail multi-channel strategy from the category up with a focus on fresh departments. And from the Amadori Group, we'll have Matteo and Tommaso, who'll be talking about breaking the meat category mold. So quite clearly we have a fresh theme. Our title for this presentation is Fresh Categories as a Growth Engine, Driving Retailer Differentiation and Store-Wide Spillover Effects through Category Management. You can see we're trying to use this 8-step process quarterly webinars to showcase real live use cases where retailers and manufacturers give their perspective of how they've used the 8-step approach to category management. Then we have a role of AI in category management. Unsurprisingly, we've decided to separate AI into a webinar series all on its own. We've kicked this off with 2 webinars already. In March, we had Google, the University of Freiburg, and Pernod Ricard all talk about how AI is being used for category management. And then we had a great discussion last month between Arbor in Zenline AI and Stefan in GS1 Switzerland about AI agents in category management. All of these webinars and the presentations are on our Catman Network website, and I'd strongly encourage you, if you haven't heard them, to reconnect and to rewatch the webinars, because there's great discussion and great use cases in them. Today's group is all about tools and technologies. We kicked it off in April, where George moderated a discussion amongst Angie from Standard AI, Tom from Simbi, and Chris from Picasso. And today we will hear from, as I said, Durlab, Ian and Julian from Coolor, Panasonic Europe and Hofrogge. And part of joining George on this expert group is Julian and Jan Yap from Perfetti Van Mel. They're the 3 people who are moderating all of our tools and technologies webinars and scheduling their participants and presenters for our series. So without further ado, let me hand over to George. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are, George.
Thank you, Declan. Hello, everyone. Before we start, just going to give you a little background on how we're going to conduct the webinar and the lens that we're going to use presenting these innovation. The webinar is a little different than what you're used to. Uh, this is not a typical webinar format. Each presenter here is focusing on a specific capability. It's not a full solution overview. It's focused on a specific innovation. The session are intentionally not sales driven and they are product led or product driven. So no pricing or competitive positioning, just a clear view of what the innovation does and why it matters. The goal is to enable more informed peer level discussion across the industry with a focus on transparency to build trust and better decisions. If you have any questions, make sure you post those questions in the chat or the Q&A, and we'll try to cover as much of those after each innovation presentation. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you the lens that each of the solution providers are going to be using to present to us here today. They're going to be using the ARS Square framework. They self-assessed their innovation using these 4 KPIs. And that's how the solution or the innovation can deliver accurately, repeatedly, at scale, with speed. We believe that bringing this transparency enables you as a decision maker to understand where that innovation is in its life cycle and its maturity to help you make a better decision on when it's time for you to engage with them and hopefully bring it to your production environment at your store or your organization. There's no such thing as too early with this lens. This provides the solution providers to bring visibility to what they're working on, where they are and where they're headed, and you decide when it's the right time for you to engage and collaborate with them. For some, it might be too early. For others, it might be just the right time to start engaging and working on this. With that, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to stop sharing here. And I'm going to introduce DJ from Kohler AI. Each solution that you're seeing here that Declan shared with you is addressing a key problem in retail at the store level, in the execution level. And these 3 solutions that you're going to see today really complement each other. With Kohler AI, focus on the sensing at the store level and taking it a step further. They focus on the coolers, making the data usable and bringing insights to where it matters. I'm gonna stop right there and have DJ come in and start sharing. Welcome, DJ. You're on mute.
Thanks, George, for the opportunity, and thanks ECR Network for the opportunity. I'm going to start. Give me a minute. I'm going to just start sharing. Okay. So, hi everyone. My name is Durlabh Jain, DJ. I'm the CEO, co-founder of Cooler Group. And Cooler Group turns coolers, freezers, and retail displays into intelligent monitored assets. So essentially, we are physical AI for retail execution. So what does Cooler Group do? So Cooler Group is a company designed to help brands. So the challenge is that brands spends millions of dollars to get the products on the shelf, and after that, they don't have visibility. In fact, when they deliver the products into the store, after that, they don't know whether the product is on the store or they put it in the back. As you have seen, the challenges are that even if the product is put on the shelf, the replenishment is a challenge. and many a times the brands do not know whether the right mix is on the shelf or not. The way a lot of brands have tried to solve this problem is random rep visits, which happen sometimes weekly, monthly, etc. But ultimately, a lot of times you see that the changes happen as soon as a rep leaves the store. The shelf changes again, a competitor product goes in, and there are various challenges. So at Cooler, we believe that you don't need random snapshots. You need continuous visibility. It's globally known to be over $1 trillion problem from out of stocks, and it has been highlighted by many publications that almost one third of those are controllable by taking action. On top of that, it is also estimated almost 30% of these sales visits are wasted because people don't know which stores to go and which stores not to go. So, as a solution, Cooler makes these retail displays intelligent. So, how do we do it? So, we have this peel and stick camera that you can install in any shelf, refrigerator, freezer, and it is totally wire free, installs within a few minutes, and it starts sensing data, gathering information. But one of the main aspect is that it also captures images, which is a irrefutable fact about how a particular shelf or a particular refrigerator or freezer looks like. Once we capture the data, we use the AI in the cloud to identify the gaps. So if a product is missing, if a product is misplaced, a competitor product gets in, we have all that information. And with that information, what we do is we identify the exceptions on which ultimately the customers can act. So we send these curated actions to the field teams and the brands to actually enact the change. Because one of the challenge with a lot of data systems is you get the information and then still it is left on individuals to make the decisions. But in our case, the system makes the decisions. And how does it do? So by converting this into actions, what we are able to do is improve on-shelf availability by identifying what products are missing or about to go out of stock even before they go out of stock. We identify portfolio compliance, any opportunity of optimization. We identify at what rate the SKUs are moving. So if let us say a particular brand is moving faster, you might want to increase the facings. Something is slower, you might want to change the facings. And apart from this, we do asset tracking because it has cellular built in, it has AGPS, so it can even track if any of these assets move or change. And we also monitor door opens, etc. So we know what kind of consumer engagement it is, apart from temperature monitoring, of course. So what do we see? We see up to 40% sales uplift year one when companies deploy our solution, and up to 35% improvement in on-shelf availability. And the good thing is that the solution monitors continuously. So you have the data, you don't have to send somebody to collect the data. And on top of that, all this uplift and improvement, this also see up to 15% reduction in cost to serve. So they are able to deploy their field force in areas where there is an opportunity for improvement. So how does it really work in practical scenario? So I'm picking one of the largest ice cream company in the world, how they utilize our system. So our system captures the images, transmits to the cloud. We gather the data insights. It is sitting inside every freezer, but not only it is identifying that what is missing and what is, let us say, moving faster. It is also providing them with a recommendation of an automated order, that this is the automated order based on what we have identified in the shelf or in the freezer, and what is the opportunity size. So let us say 2 cases, 5 cases of, let's say, vanilla, 2 cases of chocolate, etc., etc. And it automatically generates that order, sends to the distributors. And generally those orders are put on the truck, the planning goes ahead, and then just deliver. There's an opportunity if somebody wants to modify, but in most of the cases, this is completely automated. Now, how does it happen? because in our scenario, with our automated cameras, we are also able to gauge the depth. So we are able to also identify whether it will be one case, two case, three case that will fit in that place. And with that kind of an automation, what are we seeing? We are seeing approximately 12% sales diffraction, for example, in North America with one of these largest ice cream companies. We saw in just one customer, they moved from 1,000 units to about 16,000 deployments in less than 36 months. And this is not just something that is, let us say, hidden behind the curtains. Unilever, or now Magnum, is one of the largest ice cream companies in the world. And they have publicly published in many places that by deploying these kind of technologies, they have seen up to 30% sales growth in year one when they are using this technology. So once again, how do we do it? So we send merchandising alert so that action happens as it is happening in the moment. So for out of stock, it could be by product, by shelf, non-compliant products sneaking in, merchandising standards not being followed, operational alerts about power off, location mismatch, temperature, no communication, no doors, etc. And then at an organizational level, we provide information about how many places your product is there, is there a merchandising issue overall, and how is the product velocity. So to deploy any of these solutions, it's also important that we independently verify how well the solution is performing and how scalable it is. So thanks to Mr. George's ARS squad framework, this gives us an opportunity for us to assess. We did a self-assessment on our primary use case of out-of-stock detection and automated actions. So we completed this initial assessment recently, and we are going for a deep assessment. So our initial results shows that we are progressing towards the full adoption of the solution. Now, when we go through these different criteria, for example, accuracy, so we can claim that we are 95% plus in image recognition accuracy, because this is a result sustained across 26 countries with multiple CPG brands, and we have defined very clear, transparent scope of how do we assess it. On top of that, we continuously validate over 1,000 images monthly, manually, to make sure that this is in alignment with what we are claiming, as well as automated order suggestions are checked weekly just on a random sample site to make sure that we are accurate. We also want to make sure that our customers can adopt this and can take care of this repeatedly. Now, there we are actually emerging and progressing. We do see some challenges at times. So for example, our units do have a battery, and sometimes the customers do not replace the battery proactively. And that means that certain units are not continuously working. So let us say units that have been deployed 2 years, 3 years ago. So customers are supposed to get into this cadence. And this is one area where we are looking to continuously improve so that we can actually bring it to closer to 100% uptime. So it's not really a technology challenge, but it's a change management challenge. Another thing that I would like to highlight is that we have differentiated AI models. So we work with different physical environments of freezers, refrigerators, uprights, horizontal, vertical, etc. So we cover all those. We are proud to say that we are at scale because you can install the unit in less than 4 minutes. It's wire-free, no professional installation needed. Sales reps do the installation. So we have seen that it has been deployed in over 34,000 locations across 7 continents. And the data is available day one because we have capability to convert image into a planogram. We can follow priority. We have different ways on how we can analyze and provide results. And last but not the least, from a speed perspective, images are basically coming live every day. And within 3 to 5 minutes, there is an action available for people to do. And considering that the actionability of the whole solution is almost immediate. So you can work on it on a day-to-day basis. You can deploy fairly quickly. So overall, we believe that we are progressing very well in this, considering we are in about 34,000 stores. So Vista Z is our enabler. So it's a single camera. So you need one camera per asset. It has a very wide view. It has zero energy design by default. So it charges itself from the ambient store light. But as we all know, in many countries, light is not always available. They turn on the light in few hours. So we still have battery, and just on battery, it can last up to 3 years, even if there is no light in the store. It's a peel and stick installation, no wires. LT is built in, you are not dependent on Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, etc. So we eliminated all the challenges that we could have related to power, etc. And it has Wi-Fi, Bluetooth for backup. It handles asset management. But last but not the least, I wanted to highlight that we talked about our platform. Hardware is more of an enabler, and we do work on our platform with other third-party hardware as well as with phone images. So these are some of the CPG brands we work with. Overall, we monitor over 100,000 locations because we have a mix of camera deployments as well as phone-based image captures. So we have almost 34,000 camera monitor assets across 26 countries, 43 clients, and 6 continents. We do work with OEMs and retailers. So OEMs can just factory fit these units so that units come enabled. And with retailers, we make sure that if retailers want to deploy the solution, it is compatible with the shelf deployment as well. Just from a recognition perspective, we have been recognized as a scaled solution where we provide sales uplift with sustainability because it has zero energy and we take care of like minimum waste. Magnum has publicly stated about up to 30% sales increase in various countries like Turkey, US, Denmark, etc. And we have been recognized by CB Insights as one of the most promising retail tech startup. So thank you, George, and thank you, ECR Network. So George, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, DJ. Great content. A couple questions for you. I mean, you've managed to have basically global reach, global rollout. What do you attribute the ability for you to, scale and speed to be able to go out and, get that coverage so quickly?
So there are a couple of aspects, and first and foremost is transparency. So we clearly tell our customers what the challenges could be and what are the good criteria for selection and where the limitations could be. And we have been fortunate to have great customers who understand that one solution may not be a fit for all, and they choose the specific scenarios. And the ease of technology, because the technology is really peel and stick, it does not depend on other factors. So since it's an industrial solution, it is a B2B solution, we wanted to eliminate any dependency that might be there. So whether it is on network, whether it is on power, etc., so there is no dependency. So ability to get the results from day one and visually inspect what is going on adds to the confidence of the customer. And that's where, if you think about, like, when we were talking about ARS square framework, so when the accuracy is there and reliability is there, then automatically the scale comes. That's what we believe. Okay. So with that, once we have proven that, okay, fine, there is a validation happening and you can actually validate all the actions with the images, customers are able to adapt faster.
Okay. Thank you. And I mean, you've removed friction where we see with the solution itself as much as possible to make it easy to place it and use it. You mentioned alerts. What have you done, or from the one slide you showed to make the data actionable and usable to get that ROI? And if you can talk a little bit about that and share the benefits that the customers are seeing from direct access to that data.
Yes. So if you think about at a management level, a lot of companies can make decisions, but ultimately the action is performed in the field. So by moving away from just the dashboard and reporting, we have converted the actions with say proof. Um, because there are images and there's data available for the sales rep, and we prioritize what actions they should take for the maximum ROI. So these alerts are also prioritized, and these are transmitted via whatever mechanism a customer may want to choose, whether it is, let us say, WhatsApp or email, whatever they choose. So there is no friction about the technology itself. And because they have the action to be performed rather than having to make the decision, they are able to make their decisions faster. And what is happening is that because this is unbiased data, so if you think about the biggest improvement that anybody can have is making sure that the product is available on the shelf and it is the right product. So that is where the technology is telling them, hey, like, exactly this product, because you have exceeded this MOQ, you have exceeded this MOV, it's worth a visit, deliver these products, and hence you will see the results. And when it becomes a full cycle where they start seeing that, yes, the numbers are increasing and it is automatically monitoring, there's no separate analytics, it becomes easier for the customers to adopt. And also the sales feel to basically feel proud about it. In fact, many of the companies are doing gamification where they look at, okay, fine, how quickly are you resolving some of the shelf challenges, and they are rewarded based on that.
Okay. Thank you, DJ. Thank you very much for the presentation. We're going to move now to Ian Woolsey with Panasonic Connect. Uh, Panasonic Connect, as you've seen here, you're going to see a common theme in here that, image recognition or product recognition at the store is becoming more and more key to a lot of the solutions out there. It's gonna be, well, I think it's gonna be a base functionality that you're gonna see in all the solutions that you use around the retail business. And what Panasonic Connect have done is making that or turning that into a service available to all. Uh, so we had DJ kind of on the sensing side. Now we have Ian on the processing side. So Ian, I'm going to pass it on
Yep.
to you when you're ready. Thank you.
Thanks, George, and thank you to the network for the opportunity to present this. It's great to be on such a call and to be with peers and have an opportunity to look at these things together. My name's Ian. I'm working at Panasonic Connect Europe, as George mentioned, and I'm managing the business development side for R&D. So our group is responsible for bringing new technology and new solutions to market. We work across our own group internally, as you'll see, and also with multiple partners, and of course with retailers, CPG, and so on, as well as in logistics and manufacturing as well. Very, very quickly, right? Who is Panasonic Connect? Yeah, as Panasonic Corporation, you may be familiar with from, let's say, consumer electronics parts and so on. We are a large, diversified conglomerate, actually made up of 500 companies doing very, very diverse things, right? But within that, Panasonic now being something like 70-75% B2B, Panasonic Connect is like the B2B solutions arm of Panasonic Group, and we're very much focused on supply chain. So apologies for the busy slide, but our CEO decided that supply chain was the future a while ago, and I think many people here would agree. And to build a B2B solutions business in that area, including, let's say, organically from our own capabilities with 100 years in manufacturing, but also through acquisition. So you'll notice some of the logos here. We acquired Blue Yonder back in 2021, all of their 100% shares. And previous to that, we also acquired a company called ZT's Industries. And those three companies coming together bring a multitude of capabilities. And also those acquisitions are doing their own acquisitions too. So the logos on the right-hand side, these are the acquisitions that they've embarked on in the last few years. Panasonic, as the parent company, provides investment to support those acquisitions and also tech and product development. And in terms of how we also may bring technologies to the solutions, one example is in terms of how we work with Blue Yonder. Yeah, they have a range of supply chain related solutions across manufacturing, logistics, and retail, typically operates in what may be described as a platform or cyberspace, right? We focus on, as Panasonic, with our capabilities in the physical space, right? Which may be sensing, processing, analytics, and actuation, right? But it's across also the manufacturing, logistics, and retail spaces. And so we're bringing hardware expertise, sensing expertise, middleware expertise, and so on to help Blue Yonder make the supply chain autonomous. Some of those capabilities that we bring include sensing in terms of biometrics, object space, AI and computer vision analysis for optimization of physical spaces, for knowledge processing, simulation through digital twins, and also robotics as well. So within that, what am I here to discuss today? So as George mentioned, we are bringing to market this year, so it's relatively new, especially for our company. But based on a long history of image sensing capabilities, we're bringing to market a microservice that we are making available to all through an API, which allows retailers, CPG, and their partners and vendors to use that service to ensure capable, reliable image recognition for different use cases, and we take an agnostic approach. And just as a heads up in terms of the ARS squared analysis, what we're saying here is that accurately is around achieving, we're confident on that. Repeatedly, we're progressing. Scale, we're developing, and speed also we're progressing. There is a bit of a way to go, but let's say on the accuracy side of things, we are very, very, very confident, and we are building up the go-to-market on this and building up the scale. So just very quickly, I mean, you will recognize many of these things, I think, right? But we have, let's say, a range of customer pain points that I think we're all familiar with. So out of stock, products in the wrong place, wrong pricing, poor implementation, poor compliance leading to lost sales, poor stock records, poor stock management, and poor data visibility. Now, that may sound negative, but of course, retailers and CPG have varied capabilities and also varied challenges that they're working with. So those are, let's say, the things that are what we see as our customers are dealing with, on a day-to-day basis, and there are multiple solutions out there in the market to help with this. But we also see, at least at the shelf edge, there's still fairly limited solution adoption. So what are the barriers to that? All right. Many of the solutions out there may be hardware heavy, requiring a significant investment in hardware that the customer doesn't necessarily want to make. The tools that are being used and the software that they need to integrate with may be quite fragmented, so it's difficult to get the right kind of solution together. Some of the tech may not be, let's say, mature enough for advanced processing, or maybe legacy. We work with partners who, let's say, the quality of the images that they may be dealing with may be lower than what they'd like to do, but we may be able to help them with that. API integration may be weak across different ecosystems. It's hard to get actually to an agnostic platform and hardware solution, either through the technology or because vendors actually don't want to do that, right? And also, the retailer, the CPG, in the end, they need to see speed, they need to see proof, and they need to see ROI. So this is some of the barriers to adoption. So what are we offering here? We're offering one thing that we do very well, right? So based on 60 years of imaging expertise through security and broadcast businesses and a range of intellectual property that we have, we're providing and bringing to market now a cloud-based microservice that's available through an API for all. And effectively, the retailer, the CPG, and the vendors they work with may be creating a solution that needs product recognition. They may have some capability in that, but they may have some challenges and some difficulties, or they may completely lack that capability, but they need it as part of the solution. And what we're offering is a very, very capable, reliable service that can provide the quality of output that's needed, and we'll come to the ARS squared framework soon, right? It's based on our own intellectual property that's come from our facial recognition business, and the methods that it uses that we think are superior to some other existing methods are based on that, which is already deployed in things like passport issuance and facial recognition at border control and so on. So the quality is very, very high. And we have layers of redundancy built in where we would, start with product recognition. If needed, we may then move to OCR if there's we have some kind of discrepancy in the confidence of what's been recognized. And we also can bring in LLMs to help validate results and increase the accuracy. So according to need, many customers won't need all of that, right? But if they do, we can bring in those different methods to work simultaneously to give a quality, reliable result. And what we're aiming for here is to be the gold standard in accuracy. To be very, very fast, to be agnostic, right? And effectively allow this to be composable within the solutions that the customers are targeting, to provide reliable insights based on reliable data, to fix and validate according to how the customer needs to use it, right? So it's not always the same thing deployed for each customer. We've updated algorithms, we've created new flavors and new ways of doing things that are specific to customers, and always to provide a very clear, measurable output that demonstrates what we're trying to achieve here. Moving on, some additional things. As I mentioned, we have ultra-fast recognition. The product identification side of things on our cloud can be less than 1 second. The extensive coverage, so we've worked with product databases up to 100,000 SKUs with no impact on our accuracy. The only reason we don't have higher than that is because we've yet to have a database request to validate. We have very high precision in what we're doing, and it's based, as I said, on that kind of proven technology, which is NIST verified. And we focus very, very much on quick onboarding. So the product image database creation and management over time is, of course, a key point that especially those with many SKUs will be concerned with, right? And we're focused on that. So our methodology, for example, requires much less images to be taken in order to assure a certain output. Just a very quick demo, right? This is actually working, pinging our clouds to get the result back, right? It's based on this use case is actually not necessarily for planogram compliance. It's more consumer facing, right? So where the consumer may need to find products that either have or don't have a certain nutritional value or a certain allergen and so on, right? So you can see it working here. It's identified the products there that fit that search criteria and providing the results back. And that was an actual cloud call. Where do we fit in, right? So there's several ways to look at this. DJ, mentioned earlier, see decide act, right? As a loop that he works with. Blue Yonder would say see analyze decide act in their SADA loop. We look at it this way, right? So starting with the retailer or the CPG intent, analysis and decisioning coming from that, action, verification, and learning along the way, right? Historically, you could look at this as PDCA, plan, do, check, act. That's something that Panasonic's worked as a long way. But the point here is that data and quality of data and reliable data is extremely important for this. So without the right kind of data and without being able to rely on that data, you won't get the right kind of decisioning. You won't get the best learnings from it, right? Because it'll be based on substandard input. So that's where we see our role with this service. Just coming to the ARS squared analysis. So what we've had some thoughts here, right? And in terms of accuracy, what you see here is above 98% confirmed recognition rate, right? So that is for challenging products. And I'll come to some examples later where we look at things like tobacco and pharmaceuticals, which are very, very challenging products. But even so, we managed to get to this kind of accuracy rate. And this is for what we're providing back to retailer, CPG, and partners in terms of what they would consume for their solution, which is SKU position, we can create realogram generation service, and there would be, of course, the compliance comparison and so on. And there's many other use cases that we're working on from that. The accuracy itself on what we might call a standard product, so a box of cereal, for example, we would expect to be 100%, no doubt, right? So that's kind of accuracy that we're getting to. And this has been validated through multiple, working with customers and partners that have decided to move forward with with this service, and that's our vote of confidence. In terms of repeatability, yeah, I put progressing. We've, as I said, validated on a product database of over 100,000 SKUs, proven in multiple POC results, but the first rollout is yet to happen, and that's happening in Q3 this year, right? It's going through a rigorous Panasonic QMS process, which is, Japanese style, so quite rigorous, and moving towards those first customer rollouts. So repeatedly is fairly limited at the moment. The system repeatability is fine, yeah, but in terms of proven delivery at the customer site, this is starting now. Scale wise, Azure hosted service, unlimited API calls, ready to grow. Again, that product database of 100,000 SKUs, our first rollout in Q3. So, we're not doing multiple customers at the same time with large rollouts. Yeah, this is starting now. So, the rating there is at developing, but we have the confidence there, and that service is ready to be ramped up on scale. And speed-wise, yeah, as I said, system recognition response in seconds. The actual recognition part itself can be sub-second. Of course, it depends on the system you have, the latency and so on. So things to think about there. And in terms of accelerating the time to value, we're working on that now. We have proven business value in standardized POCs. We are rollout ready already for this year. And we have kind of day one cost savings, data insights, marketability, and so on already identified with those customers that we're already working with. So kind of proving out their business case. Just a couple of points. So I mentioned a couple of case studies that we've worked with. I have to anonymize it on this call. Unfortunately, I can't share who it is yet. But we have 2 POCs that are moving towards rollout, one in the pharmacy field. Interestingly, started with 60% accuracy at the start of the POC, but got to over 96% by the end of the POC, and working to improve that already, based on, again, very, very challenging products, different variable lighting conditions, packaging challenges, and so on, right? So even so, the customer is, yeah.
No, just, I don't know if you have a lot more to cover. We're
No.
running out of time,
Yeah.
and just want to make sure I ask you at least one question. This is great stuff. I mean, very few companies that I know are approaching this as a service and making this available. Products, the recognition piece is not just at the shelf, throughout the store, all the way to checkout. Product or image recognition is going to be key to all these solutions.
Yeah.
And some of them do not prioritize it right, and they leave it in a way, in an afterthought of the solution. You are taking that lift and making this capability available to them to focus on where they need to focus outside of image recognition. Can you tell us quickly, what does an engagement look like? Because this is not just for Blue Yonder. This is open to everyone in the industry. So can you tell us what the engagement looks like for something like this?
Yeah, absolutely, right. So we have a UX team that works with the customer, right? So we're identifying from the challenges that they face, right, all the way through to potential solution proposal. And monitoring those challenges, understanding them, making objectives with them, and getting a very, very quickly an MVP in place, testing that, moving through a POC and identifying, okay, for this particular customer, what does a solution rollout look like? That's in the case that they're working with us alone, right? They may already be working with other partners. And this is the point, is that composability, we make the service consumable by those other partners. So the customer may be working with a robotics company, or an ESL, electronic shelf label company, or a company they're already working with on digitizing everything that's happening in the store, and so on, right? So we can fit this into those different ways, effectively getting to a solution that's right for that for that particular retailer or CPG.
Yeah. Thank you,
Yep.
Ian. Very much appreciate it. We're gonna jump now to
Sure.
Julian from Haferraga. Julian, yep. As you load
Hello,
up and
everyone.
share the slides, this is great kind of continuation of the problem that we're dealing with. Julian's going to share with us how some of that data sensed from the store is going to be actionable and share some new stuff that he's working on as well. Julian, all yours.
Thank you, George. So, first of all, nice to meet you. My name is Julian, and I'm directing the customer management team here at Hofrogge. Hofrogge is a family company located in Germany, and we are 70 people. Half of the team is developing the solution, and the other half of the team is basically introducing the software to our customers. And our customers are retailers, wholesalers, as well as brand manufacturers. So we are also providing a platform, software as a service, and we can connect it to things that we've already seen on the call. It's a privilege for me to present today in the ECR TTG webinar as we are heading towards our 25th company anniversary, which is actually tomorrow at the 1st of July. So what an honor to present one of our innovative solutions. So like you see on the next screen, we have a software platform that is also following on the transparent AR S² template. And I'm very grateful and happy that we now have this new standard that is being established in the community, because it really shows up what are solutions delivering already, what are solutions potentially growing, and in what kind of markets and environments. Assessing our solution, which is an app suite called SAM Shelf, connected to a back office platform, is that we want to address the challenge to create store individual optimizations for macro space, range, and microspace. I'm going to keep this chart like an agenda because we're going to have some more details on the different aspects in the following charts. So to keep it short and simple, I assume that our app SAM Shelf is already achieving in the dimension of accuracy, as we normally distinguish between planogram implementation versus processes without store-specific planogramming. So we are enabling basically this, showing in many projects and many categories and channels that it's really worth it. One of our main customers has provided us with a very satisfied NPS score, so like 9.1 in the last year with several hundreds users. The whole software platform that we offer is AI assisted, and I'm going to explain in a minute what it is about to make sure that the strategy is being implemented well on the shop floor. In the repeatability KPI, we also score achieving, I guess, because we have more than 1,000 weekly active users who take out the software solution when they visit their stores. It can be a brand manufacturer sales rep team. It can also be a retailer sales rep team that is coordinating the execution of planograms, range proposals, and macro space plans over different heterogenic universes. And this is also why we believe that the repetition is also quite remarkable. 5,000 to 10,000 stores have been optimized individually using the SAM app. It is a mobile app suite, like I said, offering one component for microspace as well as macrospace and range proposals. The scope differs from single category view up to department-wise optimizations up to total store. So it depends a bit on the environment where you're at, which is also why we believe that the scale that you can have on a tablet device is maybe kind of bound also to the computing power being available on the respective device. Even if it has been, let's say less expensive and more delivering in the last years, it is still not so easy to use in environments with very large square meters of stores, as well as universes like in DIY of items where you have more than 1 million products in the whole item universe, of which several hundred thousands are being placed on any of the shelves in a specific store, which is why we see the tendency that key users in the back office teams are still using the back office platform to manage the total store. However, in single category, single shelf, or even department-wise projects, we see that it's applicable very well. And as we use it with many users and outlet scopes in around 10 countries, mainly in Europe, we assess it as growing. So there's a lot of room for potential showing it to the global audience today. The speed that we usually experience when we start with the new customers in the road to market is 2 or 3 months, depending on the scope of the software setup and the scope the partner wants to influence or optimize. If you are a CPG company, of course, you want to influence the retail partners on the shop floor, especially if you are addressing independent store owners. As a retailer, you want to make sure that the centrally planned strategies are being executed on large scale. And this is what we can manage by offering a software that is able to adapt the content to the local store specifics. The know-how transfer is very important because the way of working is different with our platform. So we assume that 2 or 4 weeks, depending on the scope of the team and the scope of the project, are enough to get the initial empowerment done in an e-learning platform that we also offer. And what really counts, of course, is the minutes taken in the store. If you are a sales rep visiting many stores per day, you need to be fast and efficient, and the content needs to be accurately for the respective outlet, which is why we measure ourselves in a KPI called minutes per planogram. And this is very important, and we are constantly working on this with the clients. Today, as a sneak preview, I also have one major AI feature that we are developing and launching in August. So there will also be one glance at the next big thing that we're going to launch in August. So at all, we are between progressing and achieving. If we look at the European markets we are already present in, I think it's different from the countries overseas we could also approach with that technology and that services. Starting with the reason why, and if you're involved in category management, that every store is a bit different, looking at the shopper's demand and also the way you can place an assortment in a specific shelf. The specific shelf can also be very different. If you look at the structure, the size, and the positioning of the shelves, this can very much vary from store to store. That's the reason why template planograms or master planograms are not implemented well on the shop floor. Companies we work with are used to create master planograms, specific sizes of shelf, specific cluster regions, and maybe also different groups of stores like city stores, rural side stores, touristic stores, and the like. If you try to cover the requirement with a one-size-fits-all planogram, you will not succeed in execution, which is why we believe that the store individual planning is worth it, especially if you can reach implementation rates like 90% on average in the well-implementing stores, also leading to a 7% value plus in sales. This is a benefit that we have measured over many, many projects and categories, as well as you can reduce the manual effort to create planograms. When we show our customers or new customers this chart, they always doubt that it's possible to roll out a store individual approach. But if you see the technology behind, maybe you will get a first impression on how you could maybe manage that, having in mind the data input and also the know-how you will need to set it up. Normally, it starts like this. The back office team is preparing the strategy, setting rule sets in our back office platform that is called Category Management Toolkit. The expert users have access to a rule set for managing the tactics like macrospace optimization, range optimization, as well as a microspace, a classic planogram production in our case. Many customers of ours are producing a lot of content using these software solutions with a small key user team in the back office, covering scopes of more than 1,200 different stores, for example, in convenience retail, beverage retail, as well as grocery retail. However, we have seen in the last years that if you take the process to the shop floor, this will not only build up trust, but also make sure that you can adapt the centrally planned strategy to the local store specifics. And this is the reason why we decided to develop an app solution called SAM that is being available on tablet devices as well as on Windows laptops to make sure that the people working in the store can also make use of that process. So every time when you have a PDF or let's say a static version of a planogram in your hands, it's not flexible, it's not dynamic. So when you are at the conversion and you realize that you have one more shelf board to consider, or you have maybe the need to reduce space on shelf for another category, you need to take decisions. And we don't want the merchandisers, the shelf stocking people to take assortment decisions. We want the category managers to take the range decision, which is why we prepare this already with an AI assisted workflow in the back office. And then the people implementing the planograms can make sure that it's fitting to the local store's needs. In this short movie, you will see a first impression on how they set it, starting with the classic category decision tree, making use of master item data and sales data, producing planograms with the help of AI agents that are being orchestrated on our software platform to produce outlet-specific content. The logic behind is unified. So there is a vertical brand block. There might be a horizontal segment block, depending on the shopper's purchasing decision. However, the results in the output can look a bit differently as we have different sales data behind and different structures of shelf, like showing and considering a pillar between the shelf segments or making sure that every product will fit on the respective board. Category managers sitting in the back office can manage their process, observing these key quality KPIs, making sure that the central CM strategy is in line with the local store specifics. The main difference, and I'm not going to explain much on this because it's also available in the handout, is that in our software solution, the users do not need to administrate and update time-consuming master planograms, because in our patented process, it's not necessary. You can come from the empty shelf structure that is in a store, can even be a generic shelf, then analyze and determine the outlet individual range, meaning the choice of SKUs as well as the number of facings, having in mind the average rotation impact per week, set the rules, and then apply it to hundreds or thousands of stores, like you've seen in the short movie before. Every time when the purchasing department or people working in trade marketing are taking new decisions on innovations in the range, new listing decisions, you can easily reflect it in the platform and connect it to the tactics of macro and micro, which is very essential to save time. In our upcoming summer release, which is in August, having in mind the latest schedule, we plan to release an AI assistant called Ray, Rule Set AI. The guy on the left-hand side is Ray, and he is orchestrating several AI agents being responsible for sorting, placing, and adjusting of items on the shelf. The user, which is the guy on the right-hand side, can provide a briefing based on text messaging or later on even per voice messaging to set the initial rules to make it applicable for people in the store. This will be a step change because normally customers said, oh, do I need a team of people having a PhD to set these rules? No, you don't, because it's a question of strategy. If you have your priorities at your hands on a second screen, having this elaborated with other tools, you can just copy and paste it into the rule set agent, and then the assistant can create the rule set for you, making sure that it's quality assured, very easy to use, and you can have a cup of coffee while you're setting it initially. So our best practice is like this. There is a small key user team sitting in the back office setting the rules. And then we have maybe the multiplying factor in the store applying the rules to individual stores. And this is what Coca-Cola does in several countries with our platform for many years, which is why I brought this best practice example today, showing in 2 minutes what it's about. I think it's 1.5. So George, I'm aware of the time. Let's take a look at this because it's exactly showing the cooperation between CPG brand and the retailer, especially if it's, let's say, independent shop owner, what to do at the shelf with the SAM app.
This is very valuable in view of the question.
For many years, the SAM Shelf app has been a powerful tool for demonstrating customers how they can restructure their shelves based on facts and figures. The planning goes from rough to fine. I can show the customer up to the last SKU what his shelf will look like in the end. For our own brand, we give a recommendation down to the item level, which can then be executed one-to-one.
SAM is a valuable tool for us to achieve our strategic goals in the company and in the market. The fact-based sales advice makes a significant contribution to our goals and results in higher shelf and market shares. In addition to visibility and availability, we can use SAM to effectively and quickly identify and close our distribution gaps. Sam Shelf supports us in many ways in the collaboration with our category management. In addition to a more effective and faster distribution of the collaborative work in the project results, such as planograms, the category management team has many reporting and analysis options at its disposal. For example, we can tell when and where optimization via our sales force has taken place, what has been worked on, and what has changed. This helps us in the evaluation of sales potentials and the recommendation of further measures.
Non-alcoholic beverages from Coca-Cola are an important part of our product range for our shoppers. Shelf optimization saves us a lot of time and effort in replenishing the shelves.
So by doing it like that, the consulting is the new quality that the sales rep can deliver for their retail partner. Imagine that the retailer himself could also do this by equipping his sales rep teams with the SAM app to even capture the status quo and optimize the shelves that are already there. So in a nutshell, we can say that CPG companies can become the real category advisor, also sharing resources on the shop floor when sales reps are not working against each other, but together to share the resources and the know-how and the category strategy to implement it better in a large number of stores. SAM is playful, easy to use, like you have just seen on the movie. With a couple of touches, you can adapt the planogram to the local shelf. You can even connect it to image recognition software like Panasonic's Connect solution you have just seen to make sure that you have the status quo already in the app. And then you can analyze, take action where it is worth it by applying the rules and making sure that you close distribution gaps, show up the potential for the retail store, and then also analyze the shelf share versus market share, or even help the retailer exploiting the productivity better because they don't need to refill the shelf more often than it's needed based on shoppers' demand. So this is on a glance what SAM Shelf as a product can offer you. And to connect it also to that idea, what we have just seen before, the next step, it's obvious. You could even show a comparison between the reality, what is currently implemented in the store. There are different technology providers that we can involve via standard interfaces, APIs, and the like. So we are open for the right technology for your stores, for your way of working. And then we connect it in a comparison with the plan, what should be in the store based on the category management strategy. And highlighting this comparison, we can allow the sales rep or the people working in the store to analyze what they can sell better if they implement the planogram, making sure that retailers exploit their potentials, like we've just seen in the current weeks. If there is a FIFA World Cup, new innovations coming to the market, or you see a relevant incompliance in the planogram implementation, the Hofrocker platform can help you to adapt it to the local store's needs. And if it's worth it, if you have a potential, you should do it and scale it up to the needs of the thousands or hundreds of stores. So this is our vision, to allow for the event-driven optimization in that category where it is worth it. So thank you for the extra minute.
Quick question, Julian. What do you think has been the advantage to get that adoption at the store level?
Speaking about the use case and this target group of users that we have, looking at a CPG company like Coca-Cola, I would say that it's gaining trust in the process, getting the people behind, empowering the users. And we have done several workshops with the whole teams of the back office and the in-store users to gather feedback, making the usability better. So we involved offline available training videos in the solution. We have a very good user interface that has been optimized by the feedback of the sales reps to make sure that they can create a planogram within a couple of minutes, because every minute is expensive, like you will know if you're in sales. However, this was one very important aspect. And the other one, looking at the retailer's perspective, was also like the accuracy. Retailers detail, like we all know. And if you don't manage to get the outlet-specific rotation data, sales data behind, they will not trust, especially if you are approaching a net of independent store owners. They will know the performance data of their store very well, and they won't trust any planogram process if it's not tailor-made for their physical shelf structure, neither to their sales potentials. And this is what we have discovered with many customers in like 10 countries. And this is why we believe that the technology is ready to scale up, but we need to learn from every category, every new distribution channel we have covered. And this is what we also want to do as a software developing company, taking in requirements, making the software a bit better. And as we have several major releases per year, I think our ambition is to be fast.
Thank you, Julian. A lot of questions to add in here. But first, congratulations on the 25 years, and looking forward to learn more about the rule set AI that you're bringing about next month. This is one of the most complicated areas in building planograms. So I know you showed us a preview, but looking forward to learn more detail about it. Again, thank you, everyone. Before I pass it on to Declan, thank you, DJ of Kohler AI, and Ian from Panasonic Connect, and Julian from Hofraga as well. You can see how all these solutions, how they're addressing problems around the execution level at the store and bringing very innovative solutions to address it in different ways and how they complement each other. Thank you, everyone. Declan, back to you.
Well done, George. Well done, Julian, Ian, DJ. Our next Tools and Technology webinar will take place on October 27th, and then the final one on December 3rd this year. We will have 2 AI webinars in September and November this year, and our next 8-step process webinar hosted by Italy will take place in 2 weeks' time in July the 9th. I hope you can join us then. Thank you, everybody, and take care. Bye-bye.